Well, back in the upstairs in the horrible mess. You can see there's the dash from the Z. There's the seats reupholstered, just waiting for the rest of the car to be finished so I could actually stick them in. But today's project is the struts here, and I've gotten a lot of new parts. Here's the, well, this is the, okay, they're not technically shocks because they're, I mean, they are shocks, but they're considered struts because they are a structural member. And these are gonna slide into these tubes here, get a cap on them, and yeah, I got the bearings came as well, the inner seal, which will allow me to put the flange on this, which will also allow me to figure out which way this guy is supposed to go on there. I'm not sure if it's going like that, or if it's going on, well, this might be for the other side, but I'm not sure if it's with the taper in or taper out. And then that'll determine, I also got a disc brake kit for the car. So these are disc brakes rather than the old classic drum. Looking forward to getting those all in. And then this guy's just about ready to go back in the car, which is, it's been almost a year now. No, a little under a year. It's been 9 or 10 months or so since the cars had wheels on it. So really looking forward to getting these guys back in. Well, this is this kind of sucks. I have the shock here and I slid it in the tube, and wouldn't you know it, it sticks out about that much more than it should. Yeah, so I double checked Rock Auto, and they say that 361003 is the shock absorber for the rear shocks of a 1974 Datsun 260Z with the stock suspension, which that's what this is. Somebody probably entered the wrong number on their website because, yeah, it does not fit, and this is stock suspension. So, great, now I gotta call them up. Okay, so these are the bearings. They look like they're okay. Like they'll fit at least. This one is towards the outside of the car. This one here is towards the inside. And good bearings. They're Timken bearings. These are SKF, which is made in, well, these ones are made in Italy. If you go to buy bearings, important thing to check, actually look at the bearing itself. These ones say SKF on them, which if you look up SKF, I believe they're Italian. They're sometimes made in Germany, or they could also be made, I think, in Switzerland. But same with stuff like this, you always want to check. So a little bit of a story. Yeah, there we go, Japan. So these are good bearings. These are reliable. They'll last the life of the vehicle as long as you pump them properly full of grease. The bearings on my truck finally gave up the ghost, and I took it apart. And those they're tapered roller bearings, you know, regular front wheel bearings. I call up the old, you know, the usual suspects, the auto parts store, and they tell me that they got, wasn't SKF, what was the brand name? It's a generic brand, but they take bearings from other people and put them in it. And they had the balls, I say, to tell me that they were Timken bearings, but in another, you know, in this generic brand's box, or their go-to brand. So I get there, and Mama didn't raise no fool. I asked them to take them out of the box, and sure as shit, it said China on them. Chinese bearings are crap. The tolerances are low. The metallurgy, they don't harden them properly. I have a set. Here's the front wheel bearings for a Datsun 260, 240, or 280Z. And, oh, actually, I think this is the brand, WJB Auto Parts. And if you take out these bearings and you look at them, drop them on the ground because these are shit anyways. You notice they say on there, China, which means that these things are effectively garbage. I would not trust them in my car because they do not last. I mean, I don't know what you could use them on. I've had them sitting around. I don't know what to do with them. I'd throw them in the trash, but it feels like a waste, and I can't figure out anything to put them on. So I've been keeping them around for shits and giggles. But anyways, just a FYI, anybody going to the auto parts store, if they say it's a Timken bearing, a Timken bearing will say Timken on it. The bearings will always say where they're made and the brand name. This one says Italy, and it also says SKF. So you know that's a good bearing. This one says Japan. You can see it on the seal, the rubber seal there. But also says it on the back. I think it also, do they have an acronym for them? I mean, they're from Timken. So I guess Timken's doing the same thing where they're made in Italy, but then they're sold through Timken name. But anyways, yeah, check your bearings. Don't let them bamboozle you. Those Chinese things, they just don't last. They're garbage. Don't put them on your car. Okay, so these are the two, I don't know what you'd call these, stub axles? No, stub axles coming out of the diff. But anyways, they're these enter into the strut here, and this is what your wheel is bolted to, your rim at least. So these guys need to get cleaned up, but this kind of shows you just what's on there. You got an outer bearing, an inner bearing, and then there's a sleeve in the middle. If I've started cleanup of this one, I think I'm going to shove this guy in there. I don't know which one they came out of. They both have an R on them, so yeah, it doesn't. I don't think they're sensitive to which side they're on. They're both identical parts. One thing though, these sleeves I think are sensitive to the shafts. I don't know. Yeah, they're a pretty good fit on there. They're just a spacer, but they are kind of sensitive, so I'm going to try and keep these together. Standard procedure, you know, you take them off. These actually are coming apart pretty easy. Let's see if I can get. Yeah, of course, when I go to show it, the one is stuck pretty good. But yeah, you take a bit of paper, something that you don't care about, and you just kind of try and wipe off the bulk of the grease. And you get it down till eventually it's, you know, a thin film, and then you can wipe it with rags, because otherwise you go through every rag you own. And yeah, you're gonna get all dirty, of course. You get all that grease out of there. So, okay, so I was praying, I was hoping, I was wishing that part would come off easy, and it is just not going to happen. So, in order to separate this bearing from this shaft, I've got it clamped pretty good in the vise. I'm going to give her a couple of good hard knocks. A good idea, start with the rubber mallet. You know, we'll be amicable. And if that doesn't get to move, we'll go to something a little bit more. Ooh, it would help if I locked that down a little better, maybe. That should be locked down pretty good. Let's see if I could just knock everything off the bench. The handle's coming apart, or the hammer's coming apart, but not much else. It looks like we need a little bit more persuasion. We're going to try one that's a little bit bigger, and a little harder. And that knocked her right out of the vise, and it has not moved at all. Not even thinking of moving. So we're going to try it again. But we're probably... I've seen a trick online where you take a welder and you weld this to something that's in the vise. That way it can't move. But I'm lazy and I don't want to have to weld something right now. So it'd be really nice, really nice if it would just come apart. Okay, let's see here what we got. With the big hammer, what we're going to do, so this nut is already, yeah, she's pretty much chowdered. And I plan on getting new ones. So, the threads are a little chowdered too. Oh, that's not good. Well, that's not good at all. I don't think this one came off of that one. I'd be willing to bet. This is the one that came off. Does that make a difference? No. No, it doesn't seem to make a goddamn difference. Okay, now we're stuck with quite a conundrum. Well, these bearings are fighting me something fierce. I ended up welding some rods on the other one, but the press is, well, the press isn't quite wide enough for this flange to fit through. So, this is a classic. I'm going to procrastinate. I'm going to go do something else. So, I was thinking, trying to get this whole place cleaned up down here, the Empire of Dirt. So, I think I'm going to put these control arms back on the car. Get them out of here. And before I can put those guys on, I need to install, let's see, where is it? These guys need to go back on the car. I'm not sure if both need to go on the car. Okay, first part's bolted in. It's all starting to come together down here. Looking pretty nice, if I say so myself. Got the special thing here for pushing down on the diff. It's one of the hangers for the exhaust. So, anyways, she's coming together. Just need to clean up some of these lines and stuff, and then, yeah, see if we can get the gas tank in her today, maybe. Oh, that's pretty good looking. All new bushings. Still missing the diff, and of course the struts, but all in all, that's not too bad looking. Need to get those in. Mustache bar is finished, but I'm waiting to put the diff in. Actually, I don't know what I'm waiting for. I might put that in a little bit. It's looking good. So we're back underneath the car. And here's what needs to happen. That diff needs to get on my stomach. I'm going to shove it up into here. And the mustache bar has to go on at the same time, because I don't know if I could get it on with the mustache bar off. Anyways, then I got to measure the distance between the diff and this plate, and then cut this polyurethane bushing, so that way when I'm driving and it torques, this will keep the diff from wanting to lift. Well, it'll want to lift, but this will make it so that it can't. So it's got to be a pretty close, actually a tight fit on this guy. So diff's got to come in, then go out, then go back in. And then this guy's got to go in. Let's see what we can do. Okay, she's initially in for the adjustment. Although, I think I might have the mustache bar in incorrectly. Something doesn't look right. It seems like it's hanging a little too low. I'm gonna go consult the owner's manual. Okay, well, I only had to cut off the bottom two, as you can see there. So we're going to, wow, sunlight's coming in perfectly right through that window all the way down and lighten it up down here. Anywho, so now I need a pair of water pump pliers to hold this. And these will work just fine. And then this guy gets tightened in. And then once this guy's tightened in, oh, that hurts. Oh, ain't that lovely. Ow. Anyways, once this guy's tightened in, then I could reinstall the diff. And that, oh, that's just going to be fun, because, yeah. All right, let's get at her. All right, so here's where we stand. Diff is out of the car. I had to drop the forward suspension arm, or I don't know what you'd call it, but it holds the bushings for the control arms. I couldn't get this diff in with that in place and the mustache bar. Looks like the mustache bar could stay in place, so I'm gonna bolt the diff to this, put it back in the car. Plus side is that, you know, I could torque it here. The downside is that this is going to be that much more heavier, and I got to align 4 bolts to get it in, so yeah, it's going to be a pain. Alright, this is it. Time for the hardest lift. Gonna have to get this guy up along with that cross member, get those holes aligned, and pray to God I don't drop it on myself. Differential is finally installed. It fought me like you wouldn't believe, but I won out in the end, of course. Jesus Christ, that was a pain in the ass. It's been about a 3-hour job just to get this differential in. I think I'm ready for a beer.